Wow, Facebook is doing crazy things. Hi, Elle Ingalls here at elleingles.com, and just wanted to share an interesting Father's Day story with you. I never knew that my father was adopted until I was 18. So he was raised by his natural mother, but he never knew his biological father. And my father called me one day. It was at my summer job in Meredith, New Hampshire on Lake Winnipesaukee, and he was up in the region and he said, love to take you out to lunch. So we went out to lunch to Hart's Turkey Farm. All you New Hampshireites will know that place. And I went ahead and he had booked it. He actually booked one of the little small rooms for us to be in. So we go in there for lunch and we're sitting there, we've ordered, and he looks at me and he says, I need to tell you something. And that's when he told me that he was adopted and that my grandfather was not my biological grandfather, but my adoptive grandfather. And he said, all I know about my biological father is that he was not a very nice man. That's all he said. That's all he knew. Um, and that's all we ever knew. So we proceeded to get our food and we're talking, and then all of a sudden he looks at me and he's got tears in his eyes and he goes, so now you understand. The wrong one died. And here's what he meant by that. So 3 years after my father was adopted, my grandparents had another child. And so my dad had a little brother. His name was Peter, and my dad adored him, and they were very close. And at age 12, my uncle Peter was fishing with two of his best friends, and one of them fell off into the water. And it was spring. The Saco River was very high and roaring. And my uncle, who was 12 at the time, he jumped in to save him, and they both ended up drowning. So the McGreal boy and Peter Sterrett both drowned, and then the McGinty boy was running for help but didn't get to anyone in time to save the boys. So my father lost his brother. My dad was about 16 at the time. He lost his brother, and it was so traumatic for my dad. But as we're sitting there at that lunch that day, and he says to me, so now you understand, the wrong one died. I'm thinking, my father has lived his whole life feeling like he should have been the one because he wasn't the natural born son of his father. So you never know what kind of traumas are working in people. That was just a huge realization to me with my father. It also explained why he was always carving his name, John Frederick Sterrett, John F. Sterrett. Like, it was on all kinds of things. He stenciled it and he carved it, and he was always putting his name on things. Like, the name was really important because he had a different name for the first 3 years of his life. Let's see, 3 years ago, about this time 3 years ago, I decided to do Ancestry.com to see if I could find my dad's biological family. And I did. A first cousin popped up and we connected and we talked. And it was pretty, if you've delved into Ancestry.com at all, you can find so many things. I've met people who found, well, this is not your real dad or not your real mom, or, all kinds of things. But it was so incredible for me to talk with this first cousin that I had never known. She was a half first cousin. So we shared the same grandfather, which would have been the man that was my dad's father. And so, excuse me, her grandfather, her great grandfather, my grandfather. So anyway, we figured it all out. And one thing that she did confirm was that he wasn't particularly a very nice man. But I always think there's got to be some good and some bad in all of us. And I've got a couple pictures of him. I posted them a couple days ago here. And I can't think that anybody is all bad or all good. Like, there's got to be some good in him somewhere. But I've since connected to a whole bunch of other family members through there, and it's just been a wild odyssey of understanding my father's heritage and where he's from and where all these people were from. But I'm bringing this up as a pressure-free post today because we all have traumas in our lives. I've got a few. I'm sure you do too. And so noting how long that trauma was working on my father, the loss of his brother, and then the feeling like the wrong one was taken, from his father, his adoptive father. Just incredible emotions, just so many emotions rolling around in there. And so I think it's really important that we give each other a lot of grace, that we understand that everybody's got traumas, everybody's got things that have made them stronger, or the opposite, have caused some real damage, and how we help each other through that. I love working with my clients on these issues. I don't do it in a necessarily therapy type way. I have a very unique approach to things that are causing people trauma and causing them to over and over again release stress hormones, because of the emotion. So that's the piece that I work on with my clients. But it's been so incredibly gratifying to help people understand that they can have a different perspective about their trauma, and that they can have a different emotionally response to it, even after decades of emotionally responding a certain way. So that's what the pressure-free method helps people do. So I wish you a great Father's Day. I only wish my dad was still alive so that I could share this all with him. I find it pretty interesting too that my mother married a man who had been half adopted, and her father too was also adopted. So here's a shout out to all the men who raise children that are not biologically theirs. That takes a really courageous person to step up and do that, and do it with grace, and do it with strength, and be there for children. Children need their parents. They need guardians. They need someone to step up and really be that role, and really bring maturity and love and grace. So many children are missing those elements today. So I'm grateful for the fathers who stepped up to raise my grandfather and my dad, and I'm so grateful for a husband who has got to be one of the most epic fathers I've ever known. And you can, if you know my husband, he's the biggest kid on the block. So it's always fun when you're around Peter Ingalls. So on that beautiful note, I wish you a great pressure-free day, and enjoy this time with family, or however you are spending your day today. Have a good one. Bye.